in chapter 5. So we'll use some of these formulas for the different things that we do. And so this is just kind of like a little formula sheet that may help you. But we're going to go ahead and get started with actual 5.1, which is an introduction to probability distributions. And like I said, it's going to be pretty light. Hopefully I have time to go through each homework problem, which I would like to do. So a random variable is just a variable whose values are determined by chance. Variables are associated with probability. So for data, this is just a great little flow chart. We can have qualitative, categorical data. We can have quantitative, numerical, can be ranked data. In this class, we mainly focus on quantitative. Qualitative is more, we don't really do a lot with the qualitative data, but quantitative we can do all these special things with because it is numerical. There are two types of quantitative data. We can have discrete, which is countable. For example, the number of players on a team or the number of students in a class. I can't have 24.2 students in my class. I either have 24 or maybe I have 25. We can have continuous, which includes decimals. And a lot of times we're talking about like lengths of different items. So we can have like 112.25 inches or feet. And weight, lengths and weight would also be an example of continuous. Whereas discrete would just be countable whole numbers. A discrete probability distribution consists of the values a random variable can assume and the corresponding probabilities of the values. We are going to model this, and this is just like a little introduction. So you're not necessarily going to have to do this every time. They're going to be giving you the decimals and fractions, but I want you to know a little bit about where they come from. And sometimes where they come from would not really would not matter. But I do want to show you. So if we think about tossing 3 coins, we can create what we call the sample space. And so you may remember this from the past, that I have the first toss, and on the first toss, I might get heads or tails. That's just what's going to happen. And there was a football game on yesterday that went into overtime, and they tossed the coin, and I can't remember which team it was, but whoever, they won the coin toss, but they lost the game because they went for it on 4th and 1 and they did not get it. Maybe you watched that game. I wish I remembered which teams it was. And then the third toss, of course, the same thing could happen. We could get heads or tails. So each time we might either get heads or tails. That's it. But if you think about the results from tossing a coin 3 times, then we can actually construct that as well. And so I'm going to do this in blue. So we could create like a little bit of a diagram here. So what would happen is we could get tails, tails, tails. That's like one possible thing that could happen. I could toss the coin 3 times and I could get tails, tails, tails. Okay, well then I could toss it 3 times again and I could get tails, tails, heads. I could get tails, heads, tails. Or I could get head, tails, tails. Okay, well I can keep going. So I'm gonna keep going because there's not that much more to do. Or I could get heads, heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, 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 heads. Okay, these are all the only possibilities that I could get. So if I wish I had a coin with me. I doubt I have a coin in my drawer. I have a little, the thing you put on Crocs, that's not going to help us. But I wish I had a coin, because if I tossed a coin, literally, and I want you to think about this, if you had a coin with you and you tossed the coin 3 times, no matter what, you would get one of these possibilities. Maybe you get tails, head, tails. And then maybe Veronica gets tails, heads, heads. And maybe Sarah gets heads, heads, heads. We don't know, right? But You would have to get one of these possibilities. That's the only thing that could actually happen. And so what we can do with this is we can count how many outcomes there are. So there are 8 possible outcomes. We would have to get one of these outcomes. All of us, if we did this, we would have to get one of these outcomes. Now, we can group them. So see now here it says, let X be a random variable for the number of heads. Okay, so now we're going to group them. So we're going to group them by the number of heads. So we're going to group them by the number of heads. And we could also do this for tails, by the way. Okay, but in this case, they're asking us to use heads. Okay, so we're gonna group them by the number of heads. All right, so what would that look like? Well, they've already created a table for us. Okay, so this is nice. No heads. Okay, if you look at our sample space, there is one possible no heads, and that's tails, tails, tails. Right? So one of us could get tails, tails, tails. But the probability of that happening is 1 out of 8. So no heads would be 1 out of 8. Then if we look at the probability of getting 1 head, that would be 1, 2, 3, 3. And they've showed this for you on the table already. So the probability of getting 1 head would be 3 over 8. And then the probability of getting 2 heads, I'll do this in red. Okay, so 2 heads. That would be head, head, tails, tails, head, tails, head, head. That would be 3. So there's 3 out of 8 possibility of getting 2 heads. And then the possibility of getting 3 heads is also going to be 1/8 because that would be this one over here. The head, heads, heads. So this is what that table looks like. And the variable here would be x equals 0. So that would be 0 heads, x equals 1, x equals 2, and x equals 3. And so we can create the corresponding discrete probability distribution. We can actually create a table of our own that shows this, where we have the number of heads, which would be x, and then we have the probability. And I want you to understand that in this section, we don't actually have to do this. This is just showing you kind of like where the numbers come from. Really, the numbers are already going to be filled in for you. Okay, but this is how they're derived. And so I would have, for 0, we have 1/8. So that was the 0 heads, that's right here. And then for 1 head, we have 3/8. For 2 heads, we have 3/8. And then for 3 heads, we have 1/8. And that would be our table. And I want to point out that they are going to use decimals or fractions. And I feel like for us, for section 5.1, they mainly use decimals. So these could also be written as decimals. And you may notice that if you add all of these together, the sum is equal to 1. And so we're basically accounting for all the different possibilities here of getting the number of heads. So if we added all these together, we would get 8 over 8, which is 1. And like I said, we could do the same thing for tails, and it would look the same, right? Because that's like an equal probability. All right, so we're going to do a few examples, and then we'll go into some more that are a little more like your homework. And then we're going to do your homework together, and I'm going to try to record it and make sure the volume is working. But are there any questions about what I've done so far? We're good?
How you got the numbers, and just to double check for the x equals 1, because it's 1 equals x because there's 1 head, so on and so forth, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay, we're good? Let's go ahead to this next one. So for this rolling the dice, we're going to construct a probability distribution for rolling a single die. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is we'll do our sample space. And like I said, this work is usually already done for you, but we want you a little bit to know how it's derived. So when you're looking at the table that they give you, you're not completely like, where are these numbers coming from? So the sample space for rolling a dice, if each of you had a normal dice right now and we all rolled a dice, we would get one of 6 possibilities. Some of you would roll a 1, some of you would roll a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. That's it. That would be our sample space. All of us would have to get one of those numbers. So we'll let our outcome be X, and our outcome will be the actual number on the dice, right? So what number we get on the dice. So I'll put that over here. So, and that's so X is the number on the die. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the probability of getting a 1, we'll type into the chat. What do you think would be the probability of you getting a 1 or me getting a 1? Okay, good. Yes, 1 out of 6. Very good. How about the probability of a 2? Good. Okay, yeah, 1 out of 6, and so on. And so that would be our probability distribution table. So it would just look like that. And once again, if I added all these numbers together, the sum of all these numbers added together will equal 1. And notice, we're not going to have negative numbers for the probability, right? So that rule that we had in the past where we can't have negative numbers for probability is also still true. We cannot have higher than 1 values either. But when we add them all together, we should get 1. Okay, so I'm going to put that over here, that the sum is equal to 1. And notice there are no negative numbers. There is no number greater than 1. That would be impossible. Okay, so this question is just a repeat of the question we've really already done. We've already created our sample space for the tossing coin. So I'm going to say see previous. What did we call that? It wasn't really an example. It's just I'm just going to put see previous page. So we've already done this. We could have heads, heads, heads. We could have tails, tails, tails. We could have head, heads, tails. And heads, tails, heads, and so on. So that sample space, and you know what, I'll just write it really quickly just because I know I don't want it to bother anybody that I didn't list it. Okay, so these are the different spaces we could have, possibilities. If we tossed a coin, this is what we would see here. Okay. So that would be our sample space, and then the distribution table is already on the other side. But now I'm going to show you what it looks like graphically. So graphically, for that table that we had just had, and just to be to remind you, we had the X, which was the number of heads. So 0, 1, 2. And 3. So X was the number of heads. And then the probability was here. And if you remember, 0 heads was 1/8, and then we had 3/8, and then we had 3/8, and then we had 1/8. So getting 3 heads would be 1/8, or getting no heads would be 1/8. So we just kind of did this. The only connection that we're making now is that we can show this graphically right here. So we have the number of heads shown here. The 0 heads would be 1/8, as well as 3 would be 1/8. And then for 1 and 2, you can see it's going up to 3/8. And so we're just showing that graphically that that's what that would look like. So that would be the distribution. All right, now we're going to get into some that are actually on your homework. So that's just like an introduction, because what's going to happen is they're going to give you the probabilities. You're not going to necessarily have to find the probabilities. You just need to know how to kind of construct your table and to understand a few important things about that. All right, thumbs up. Can I move on? Everybody's good? Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this. There are two requirements for the probability distribution. First, the sum of the probabilities of the events in the sample space must be equal to 1. Okay, we know that that should be true. That is, and there's the summation symbol, the sum of probabilities has to equal 1. So if you added all the numbers together on the bottom part of your table, it should equal 1. Also, please note that the probability of each event in the sample space must be between or equal to 0 and 1. That is, it must be in between 0 and 1. It cannot exceed 1, and it cannot be negative. Okay, so this is like another way of saying cannot exceed 1, cannot be negative. Okay, so we are going to answer these questions. Is this distribution a probability distribution? Okay, so one thing is being able, can you recognize, can you look at it and say, okay, it is or it isn't? So let's start with letter A. In order for it to be a probability distribution, when I add these numbers together, it has to equal 1. Okay, so I have to add them together. So I'm going to show you 0.2 plus 0.6 plus 0.1 plus 0.3. Okay, I'm adding those together, and I get 1.2. Nope, that's not good. It has to be exactly 1. The sum has to equal 1, so no. It is not a probability distribution, because when I add the sum of the probabilities, they should equal 1. All right, what do you think about letter B? So I'll give you a moment to type letter B into the chat. All right, you all are correct. When I add these together, do I get 1? That's just what I have to ask myself. So when I add them together, and those are fractions. Like, first of all, I wouldn't necessarily be adding those completely by hand. You can if you want to, but you also feel free to use your calculator. If you add these together, you should get 1. Since you get 1, we're going to say yes, this is a probability distribution, because the sum is equal to 1. All right, how about letter C? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Is that a probability distribution? I think that one's a little bit easier to look at and just tell, right? Because you have 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. So 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 does equal 1. It equals 4/4. So yes, that one is. All right, how about letter D? Yes or no?
Not possible because you got a negative.
Good, yes, you're right. Okay, so this one negative ruins the whole thing. It just takes one to ruin everything. So this is definitely no, because you can't have a negative. And if there was like a 1.7 or something, that could also be a disqualifier as well. Even if the sum added to 1, you can't have a 1.7 or a negative in there. Okay, so that's definitely no.